What's up guys, Balmut here. So on tonight's video, I'd like to bring your attention to a very special game that was made by Ubisoft that almost no one got to play, and to me, in my book, that's a real shame. So go ahead, hit the like button, subscribe now to help us grow, and let's get on with this show. As soon as you begin playing this game, you will notice that it shares many similarities with Code Veronica and Resident Evil 4, which was released just a few months prior to Code Fear. Just like in Code Veronica, Code Fear makes use of the dynamic fixed camera angles. I know it sounds weird, but that's the best definition I was ever able to come up with. You see, the camera angles are the same, however, the camera is going to follow your movement. And this mixture of Code Veronica and Resident Evil 4 also extends to the gunplay, because you see, on one hand, you will get the third-person aiming system, just like you would get in Code Veronica. The difference is that here, it's a lot smoother, it's a lot faster. However, when you hold down the aim button, the camera does change to a third-person over-the-shoulder perspective. And not only is this good for actually fighting enemies, you know, you're going to be fighting zombies. I'm going to call them zombies. You're also going to be fighting Russian soldiers, so not only does this help with the combat itself, but it also helps with exploration, because there will be instances where, you know, it's going to be more beneficial for you to take a panoramic view, you know, some sort of a bird's eye type of view over your surroundings so you know where you are, especially in larger areas. But also there are moments where an over-the-shoulder camera will help you navigate a lot better. And whenever I think about Code Fear, I can't help but to wonder, why wasn't this system implemented more oftenly into games? But you know how the gaming industry is. If you had a dime every single time a gaming company either messed up or missed out, you would be a millionaire by now. Now, if you've played Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty and remember the tanker part, then you are gonna feel kinda at home, even though the type of the game, the genre of the game is different, because in Code Fear you will be navigating the entirety of the whaler ship. And to be quite frank, the ship design is really good. It's exactly how a standard ship would be like, would feel like, would look like. After a lot of people died in it, of course. However, there is one aspect of Code Fear that could put people out, which is it doesn't have a map system. Your navigation is going to be entirely up to your memory. However, since this is a standard ship we're talking about, you know, if you know just a little bit about ships, you know, its most common denominations and standard names for different eras of a ship, then you'll never be truly lost. Because if I tell you, for example, hey man, the next objective is on the rear deck, you're going to say, okay. Or the next key card is on the starboard. You're gonna say, okay, I'm heading over there now. Which is exactly what the game will always do. It will always tell you in which part of the ship the next key card, person, or objective is located. Now, of course, I'm not making any excuses for this, you know, it's still a flaw. Or not. Who knows, because, you know, Demon's Souls came along just a few years later, and we all know that Soulsborne games have no maps, with the exception of Elden Ring. And I've read some video game journalists, it's always those motherfuckers, Jesus Christ. Anyway, I read some of them saying that, you know, well, a lot of the ship's areas look the same. It's a fucking ship. No, really, enlighten me, you know, what would you expect out of a whaler ship? Decorations, paintings on the wall. I gotta tell you, man, those people, Jesus Christ. But moving on. So, even though navigating on this game may seem a little bit hard at first, you soon come to realize that this whaler isn't really that big, and even so, memorizing its key areas isn't exactly that hard, so yeah, it's perfectly doable. Ignore video game journalists forever, no matter what they say in their lives. That's my best advice for you. Now let's talk about the combat system, which is intrinsically connected to the story, but we'll get to that part in a bit. Throughout the game, you find a few different weapons. You know, you begin with the handgun, then you're going to be finding the AK-47, then you're going to find a harpoon that is soaked in pheromones, so you can draw enemies to a very specific location. You're also going to get a shotgun, which is extremely satisfying to use. And ammunition is never really going to be a problem in Code Fear, because besides having an armory, enemies will regularly drop both ammunition and health packs for you. I'm not saying this game is a cakewalk, trust me, you are going to die a few times, believe me, you will. But unless we're talking about special weapons or weapons with little ammunition like the shotgun, then, you know, most of the time you are going to be safe to use whatever weapon you choose. A word of advice though, try using the handgun whenever you can, just to make sure that you have enough AK-47 rounds for when push comes to shove. Now, as for the enemies themselves, like I said before, you will be facing armed Russian soldiers as well as infected dead bodies, which have sprung back to life. And the way you go about, I'm sorry, just bumped on my microphone, and the way you go about defeating infected dead bodies is, no matter what you do, you must deal a fatal headshot to them, otherwise they will keep getting back up. However, if you are playing this on the computer like I am in this video, this won't really be that much of a problem. And you can even approach down enemies and blow their heads off. You have, you know, quite a, I'm gonna say, leeway to do so. So yeah, you know, you may be thinking that this is gonna be hard, but it won't. Actually, it's gonna be fun, if anything, really. Now, in order for you to understand why the hell you're gonna be fighting reanimated dead bodies, let me tell you a little bit about the story. You're put in the shoes of Tom Hansen, a former US Army Special Forces soldier. He now works in the United States Coast Guard. However, when he hears his shipmates being killed over his radio, he sets out to explore the ship and determine what the fuck happened. As you explore this Russian whaler ship, you will learn about the existence of a creature called Exocell, which was discovered accidentally by the crew of a Russian oil rig. And yes, you know where this is going. They come to learn that the exocells are parasites. Upon experimentation, they realized that the exocells could reanimate recently deceased humans. And let's just say that after that, a series of very bad decisions are made, and you find the ship in the state it's currently in. So yeah, whether you like it or not, it's your job to clean up this mess. And let me tell you something about this game's atmosphere. It's really, really good. It's claustrophobic when it needs to be. It's very airy when it needs to be, especially when you are in the ship's exterior. You can get the sense of dread of isolation because really, you know, it's a torrential rain out there and you can't really see shit besides the ship itself and just a little bit of the ocean. Many of the whaler's parts are rusted, they're degraded, there's been a lot of decay. You can clearly see that this isn't a ship that has been, you know, exactly very well taken care of. I like to call this as storytelling through static objects. You take a look at them, you know, it can be a place, can be a scenery, can be a book, can be a door, and the way they are designed already tells you so much about the place, the type of place you are currently in. And even though you'll never rarely run out of ammunition, and let's be honest here, just like it was in most Resident Evil games, you'd rarely ever run out of ammo. The sense of dread, the sense of tension is still here because, again, the game's atmosphere makes you feel tense. And for that, I give this game a lot of points. And even though this game's story is absolutely unremarkable, yes, because, you know, no sequel's ever made, no one is ever gonna say, oh my god, the plot of Cold Fear was absolutely amazing. I remember that guy I found down in the cargo hold, he made me cry. It doesn't have to be. A game can be a self-contained, one-off IP that is a very good experience, and that's exactly what Cold Fear is. And now for my final thoughts about this game. It's been a while since I actually inserted the final thoughts section. After all's been said and done in this review, you know, after I presented you my thoughts, I couldn't help but to think that Cold Fear comes from an era, and I'm not speaking out of nostalgia here because I'm not a nostalgic person, where game developers, they dared a lot more. Sure, the results weren't exactly always the best, but there was variety. There was initiative, there was honesty in trying to make new IPs. You know, instead of, like, for example, making a Viking game and then just calling it Assassin's Creed so people would buy it a lot more, because let's be honest, Assassin's Creed Valhalla can only be called Assassin's Creed by a technicality. Oh, you know, you can sneak, you can climb, you have your hidden blade, which is now not hidden. There's also those two assassins, you know, they're there. So yeah, it's an Assassin's Creed game. Buy it. And then wait for a lot of patches, of course, but that's a subject for another day. I don't want to ruin what I'm trying to present you, what I'm trying to sell you into playing, because at the end of the day, Cold Fear is a game that deserves your attention. If you've never played it, believe me, you are gonna be surprised. It's available on Steam, it's going for like dirt cheap. And you know, this game is so old, you probably run on a gas station computer, so, you know, if you have it, give it a go. If you enjoyed this video, then remember to hit the like button and subscribe. I really need your help to keep on growing. This isn't an automated message. I really need your help, okay? Because we're kind of stuck at 1600. I don't know what happened, so I really need your support. Okay, guys, your help means a lot to me. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. As always, take good care of your family, pets, friends, loved ones, and I'll see you next time. That one out.